Jay-Z's distortion case against Buzbee is falling apart. Jay-Z's distortion case is falling apart. Here's why, everybody. Hi, my name is Dr. Lillian Coley, and this is Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. I wanted to come on and talk about the case in regard to Jay-Z and his case towards Tony Buzbee and how the case appears to be falling apart in the state of California. And this is coming from the judge in terms of things that he considered to be evidence, not evidence, something that can be proven or not proven in regard to his claims. But let's get right into it. There is one of my famous bloggers by the name of Murid Morelli. He did a very interesting take in looking at the documentation and also reading what the judge says. I think this is pivotal because it's always good to see a judge meet the needs or the bar of the law, because sometimes it's not met. We'll go into that later. Let's talk about that on the other side, because everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people got their own story when it comes down to that. I do have my own. But let's listen in to see what he's saying about the California case regarding Jay-Z and how it's falling apart in certain aspects of it in terms of the facts and what really happened and what you can prove, et cetera, et cetera. Let's do it, everybody. So I'm going to go in here and just start moving it so you guys can see.
Bad updates, guys, when it comes to the Jay-Z defamation case that he's trying to hold against Buzbee. Hey guys, it's Murad Morali, daily and consistent content. Let's get straight into this video. The future, guys, of Jay-Z's lawsuit against Tony Buzbee of defamation genuinely now is hinging on one specific factor, and that is Tony Buzbee liking a specific tweet, because it's just been revealed as of yesterday that the extortion claims that Jay-Z is trying to push against Buzbee is getting dismissed. A judge in California said this week that he's most likely going to dismiss an extortion claim against Buzbee over that now dismissed lawsuit against that accused Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs of R-wording a 13-year-old in 2000. Now remember, Buzbee responded to those extortion claims by releasing the particular demand letter. It was a basic demand letter at best that could definitely have been tweaked and improved, but it wasn't extortion. I definitely didn't believe that Buzbee was ever extorting Jay-Z in that specific moment. He was just representing his client, saying that this is the person who's being alleged, this is what we are sending you. And, you know, they even asked for mediation. They offered the identity for the person. It was a clear, you know, letter that was simply demanding. It wasn't a letter of extortion. It didn't make sense to me.
So get that picture, that Buzbee was filing something for his client. This is very important and pivotal to understand. He's an advocate. He's doing something on behalf of his client, not trying to go against somebody personally. So sometimes when you're in high profile cases and this kind of stuff happens, sometimes people are trying to bully the other side into not doing something or doing something in the future regarding them. So pay attention, everybody.
So Jay-Z getting this claim dismissed makes sense to me. Now, not only that, but the judge has said that he also expects to dismiss 3 statements under the defamation claim as well. So it looks like Jay-Z's defamation lawsuit is breaking apart, and breaking apart much faster than I expected, because if this is set to go to trial, as Judge Epstein did say, why are the extortion claims being dismissed and why are the defamation claims from Jay-Z's side being broken? But there are still some defamation claims that Jay-Z has against Buzbee that is being upheld. Another defamation statement is going to move forward, and the 2 others will survive purely on the basis of Buzbee's choice to like a post on the social media website X. So outside of 4-5 defamation statements, 3 are being dismissed, and you obviously have 2 who are going to move forward and 1 other that is based on a like. It's hard to say that when somebody says yes, Doe is Carter, and your client likes it. It's not reasonable to infer that your client has just affirmed their right. And once you go there, we're off to the races. LA County Superior Court Judge Mark Epstein said, referring to Jay-Z. Judge Epstein had not finalized his order as of Thursday afternoon, important to note, and he said he may change his mind and keep the extortion claim if Jay-Z's lawyers present evidence showing Buzbee sought money from Carter with no plan to sue and without the consent of his clients. Because if that took place, that is extortion. But I want to see that silver bullet before I allow it to be fired. So the judge is demanding in the 2-hour hearing on Tuesday in Santa Monica to say to Jay-Z, if you want to come with this extortion claim, provide that evidence, because we're still waiting for those silver bullets. Because otherwise, the legislature was pretty clear that they don't have a problem with settlement letters, and that if there's stuff in the settlement letter that turns out to be false, your remedy is a malicious prosecution suit at the end of the day. Epstein's comments are his first substantive remarks about the merits of Carter's claims against Buzbee. This is the first time that he's basically coming for Jay-Z, the judge, and saying that, at best, this is just a prosecution suit. The extortion claim concerns 2 demand letters that Buzbee sent Jay-Z's lawyers before he sued, one on behalf of the woman and another on behalf of the man. Buzbee has not sued Carter on behalf of the man, and he recently dismissed his lawsuit on behalf of the woman with prejudice, which means they can't be pursued again. Judge Epstein cautioned on Tuesday that a dismissal with prejudice isn't definitive proof that the allegations against Carter were false, but it checks the first box for a malicious prosecution claim against Buzbee. I'm going to repeat that again for you guys. This is the judge. This ain't me. Judge Epstein cautioned on Tuesday that a dismissal with prejudice is not definitive proof that the allegations against Jay-Z were false, but it checks the first box for a malicious prosecution claim against Buzbee. Buzbee's lawyer, Samuel Moniz of Shepherd, Mullen, Ricker and Hampton LLP, said he doesn't believe there's any evidence that Buzbee acted without his client's knowledge, nor is there evidence he acted maliciously. Counsel can quibble the adequacy of that investigation, but there was an investigation and there's no evidence that Mr. Buzbee even closed his eyes to any of the evidence tending to disprove his claims. Judge Epstein offered to delay the hearing after Carter's lawyer, Robert Schwartz, a partner, said an investigator spoke with someone who said Buzbee sent 2 demand letters to Carter without the knowledge of 2 of the clients, Jane and John Doe. Schwartz, however, said he doesn't believe the investigator can publicly name his source, so Epstein proceeded with oral argument. I mean, if you've got people to back you up, Mr. Robert Schwartz, you need to name your public evidence. Why can't you name your sources? Afterwards, the judge said the findings in his 34-page tentative order. Epstein's comments leave a narrow path forward for Carter's extortion claims, but the defamation claim is safe regarding 3 of 6 statements identified in the lawsuit, after the judge said they link Carter to the essay and R-word made by Jane Doe. An average listener would believe that Buzbee's statements truthfully implicated Carter as an R-word. The surviving statements for Jay-Z's side are, it may not be big names at first, but we have a long list of names, what Buzbee said. Buzbee called his client in the R-word lawsuit against Carter a essay survivor, which Carter's defamation claim alleges is reasonable understood to refer to Jay-Z as the perpetrator. Buzbee was paraphrased by TMZ on December 10th as saying he's not ruling out filing R-word charges against Jay-Z. So these are the statements that are standing against him, and these are the ones that are going to be dismissed. Buzbee said on Stephen A's show, I want to make sure I capture a wide net and capture everybody involved, and Jay-Z tried to use that against him. It got dismissed. Buzbee said on Chris Hansen's show October 3rd that facilitators committed misconduct and claimed they should be prosecuted. Jay-Z tried to use it against them. It got dismissed. Buzbee said on Short Hours podcast, there are going to be some people named in these cases that are going to raise eyebrows. Jay-Z tried to use that against them. It got dismissed. In his tentative order, Judge Epstein said the inferences in the dismissed statements are far more tenuous than the inferences in the statements he won't dismiss. Unlike Buzbee's statement to Morgan in the dismissed statements, there are no hints about anybody else outside of Diddy. Buzbee indicates generally that famous people may be implicated. So how can Jay-Z use that against him? Some claims, guys, are falling apart very fast. Even some of his defamation claims are being dismissed. Outside of 3 statements, the majority of his statements and the majority of what he's trying to push, the judge is basically dismissing. The judge also said that just because a case has been filed with prejudice, it doesn't mean that Jay-Z is innocent. He cautioned that. And I think that statement is the biggest thing that he could say in these hearings as of yesterday and of Tuesday, and I think it is to be very intriguing. Somebody else from Quinn Emanuel, law firm is representing Jay-Z, but I think that is a powerful statement for the judge to say. He cautioned that just because something is filed with prejudice doesn't mean that the person who's been accused of XYZ is, an innocent individual. So I think the fact that the judge is saying that is something that we should really be looking at. So this still is set to go to trial, and there still is a defamation case against Buzbee, and he still is getting caught up based on the fact that this man was doing a media run. This is why this man Buzbee was caught up. He was being too salacious. He loves the cameras and he wants to give interviews to every YouTuber, content creator, or anybody, and he should have just shut his mouth, because if he shut his mouth and focused on the cases, he wouldn't be facing extortion or defamation claims at all. So these are the statements that are, that I wanted to read. I wanted to find out what were the actual statements that are being used against Buzbee and what are the statements that are going to be, dismissed. It may not be big names at first, but we have a long list of names, is what Buzbee said that is being used against him. That in itself, in my opinion, should also be dismissed because he's not even referring to Jay-Z, but certain tweets that he's liking, all of this stuff. So it just goes to show you that this has been broken down by Megan Cunniff, shout out to her, but the judge is saying that he is dismissing most of Jay-Z's claims. So it's not good news for him. This is probably not what he wanted to hear, that, his extortion claims are being dismissed and that he's basically been told that, just because something's filed with prejudice doesn't mean you're innocent, and also that some of his defamation claims are also being dismissed. Yes, some are being upheld, but the majority of them are being dismissed. And this type of update probably is not great for Jay-Z's side because he wanted all of this to be upheld in court, not half of it to be broken down and the other half to be dismissed. Let me know your thoughts are, guys.
Yeah, I think this is interesting how the part of the case is being dismissed because, one, I don't agree with some of the things that were said here because people have they're entitled to their own opinion. You have the freedom of speech to go on YouTube or anywhere else to talk about what you want to talk about. In addition to that, people can like a post because, again, it's freedom of speech. But I did like the fact that the judge understood the law and he knew that just because somebody's case was dismissed with prejudice does not mean that the merits of the case was not merits. So people need to get that understanding about a case. Nonetheless, we're all entitled to our opinion. That's the point, everybody. But then when it comes down to the law and facts, that's where we get into a different arena. So I'm grateful for this particular findings of the judge. I'm glad that things were brought out. I hope people pay attention to always remember about the victims. There's victims involved. Was this case brought to bully someone so they cannot do anything else towards them? Or to stop other people? Why sometimes it is done? Sometimes it seems like, based on what he just said, it could be a malicious prosecution. And this is very evident sometimes in some cases when people are upset about what happened or if something they appear to be the truth or not the truth comes out. I think this is part of life, though. When you're in an industry where you're in a certain limelight, no matter who it is, there is a time when you can be ostracized and exposed, and maybe sometimes not true. Nonetheless, it's part of the journey, is what I'm trying to say, everybody. So what do you guys think? I see this as good news for the community that a judge, because this is the way I see it, that a judge is doing the right thing and applying the law. It's not about who win or who lose. It's about what's the facts and what's the law, right? So at the end of the day, what do you think? I think Mira did a good findings of his information. Check him out on his station, Mira Morelli, regarding the California case against Buzbee, Jay-Z's against Buzbee in regard to defamation and extortion. And we've heard that most of that case is being eliminated or mutilated because the facts and the evidence is just not there. Nonetheless, what do you guys think? Do you think this was a bully tactic? Do you think this was a good move? Because now Buzbee can turn around and get money back from what they call illegal prosecution against him. Because again, he's an advocate. He's fighting for a client. He's not just out here. So at the end of the day, yeah, we know he should bring stuff and have it right and all that good stuff. That's a given. But at the end of the day, if somebody comes to you and you have evidence and all these other things, it's the duty of the attorney, the advocate, to carry out his job and to search out for the truth. That's what this is all about. And the only reason why I believe that the case was withdrawn, I think there was a third person that was involved might have been the person who paid Jane Doe off. That's just my belief, y'all. That's just my belief. And I'm entitled to my own opinion. But what do you think? This is Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. I'm tuning out, but I thank God for all you, and we'll see what's going to happen on the other side. But we want to thank you all for watching. Have a good day. Have a great weekend. And we look forward to talking with you soon. Bye, everybody.